Hey, what's up guys, Roller Rods here, and today I want to talk about the state of Retribution Paladin in Dragonflight Beta 45697. If you haven't seen the latest blue post, Blizzard has stated that they are basically done with this phase of class design. Basically what this means is they're no longer going to be moving talents around, make large sweeping changes of talents. Basically the talent trees that we have are the talent trees we're going to get. However, they are going to be tuning and balancing the talents, stating with the next beta PTR build, we are transitioning away from spending the majority of our time on the design iteration of the new talent trees, and we are now primarily focused on fixing bugs and tuning the game. This includes balancing talent choices against each other and tuning the throughput of each class. So basically tuning the numbers, making stuff hit harder, hit less, making sure that one talent choice versus another is well balanced. So I know a lot of paladins were unhappy with the lack of dev communication in response to our feedback on the forums. The only thing I can say, guys, is they say that they're going to keep making changes as the expansion goes on. Don't stop giving your feedback. Don't stop posting on Reddit or the forums or any of that stuff, guys. Just keep doing what you're doing. Just please remember, guys, to do it in a respectful manner. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. And with that all out of the way, let's jump into some builds. All right, so what I'm thinking is maybe we'll go through a raid build first, and then we'll go through an M+ build. So starting with the Paladin tree, first place I'm going Fist of Justice, Integrated Judgment, 25% increased damage to your next holy power ability. Amazing. I love it. Divine Steed has been a huge area of contention. I mean, you have to take Divine Steed. You have to go Cavalier for the 2 charges. You don't take Seal of the Templar. It's basically an unusable talent. Seasoned Warhorse. It feels so bad to put a point into this. So this is going to be the first area where we may or may not take this talent. For right now, we're going to take it. Lay on Hands. Obviously, Lay on Hands is a staple Paladin spell. You're going to want it. Blessing of Freedom is another situational one, but most of the time, I like to keep Blessing of Freedom. Let's talk about Auras of the Resolute. Now, if you're the only Paladin in your group, and it's a guild group, you're probably going to take Auras. If you're in a Pug group or a LFR group, nah, dude, don't take it. That's on them. Hopefully you have a Holy Paladin and they will take care of Devo Aura. If they don't, cool. You get to sit on Retribution Aura. Awesome. Obviously, we're going to take Avenging Wrath, our only CD. We're gonna go Rebuke, then we're gonna go Seal of Reprisal. Your damaging holy power spending abilities deal 10% increased damage. We love it. 2 of those. Holy Aegis is great. Extra armor, extra crit. Let's do it. Now, you have to take either Sack or Blessing of Protection. My default is Bop, and really we just take either one of these so that we can get Unbreakable Spirit. As a Paladin, we are pretty squishy, even though we are a plate wearer, so having that extra 30% off on Divine Shield, Divine Protection, and your Lay on Hands is great for survivability. Now here is where things start to open up a little bit more. We have this choice node, Incandescence. Each holy power you spend has a 5% chance to cause your consecration to flare up, dealing 2,763 holy damage to up to 5 enemies standing within it. This is fine if you're going to be playing consecration. Ideally for us, we won't be hitting consecration too much. It's really more of a filler spell, especially in single targets. So Touch of Light, which makes you explode holy damage and healing based on your abilities. That's just extra passive damage. We like that. We like that a lot. All right, here we need to spend 3 more spells. If you need it, Repentance and Blinding Light are great choices to pick up here. Repentance, I mean, humanoids, demons, dragonkin. So, there may be, in the next couple of raids, there may be something you need to CC, and so you can do that. Blinding Light is great. It was huge for me on Mythic Artificer and Shadowlands. Blinding Light is great. Cleanse Toxins, obviously a great spell to have. Clear any disease and poison effects. These are some that you can pick up depending on the fight. If I'm here though, I'm either going Spell Warding or Improved Bop just for the cooldown. So we'll just go, this one is situational as well. It depends on what you're trying to go for. You can go Spell Warding, you can go here, and either way. Now here, if I'm in a raid scenario, I'm actually probably gonna take Sacrifice here, only because those Divine Shield sacks as a DPS, if your tank is about to take some huge damage, and if you're the last line of defense, like, you can throw that sack on them and it's going to be It comes up big. One other thing you can do, Judgment of Light, not bad. I'm actually glad that we get that as ret now because it's a little extra healing. If you'd rather do a little extra healing, I would go Judgment of Light. Again, Consecration, Golden Path isn't super. I mean, it's Judgment of Light is far better for healing than Consecration is. I mean, it's just more healing. After Image, I would not take After Image. I mean, you're not going to be really spending a lot of Word of Glories. And if you are, I mean, you know, maybe you go through a bunch of Holy Power, and then when you use Word of Glory, it's extra healing for everybody else. It's not a big win for Ret Paladin. I think here what I would do is I would actually probably go Recompense. If I do use Sack, it's going to give me that little extra bit of damage, and we love damage. All right, here we're going to go Divine Purpose, 100%. I don't understand why Holy Avenger is still in the game. I may be missing something. If I am, let me know in the comments, but it just feels like it's a lot of wasted Holy Power. I think this is an old talent from an old playstyle when everything used to only generate one Holy Power, but then we got Wake of Ashes and we got Blade of Wrath, and those generate even more Holy Power. So I think Holy Avenger probably just needs a rework or something. Seal of Alacrity, we love haste. Here's another choice. You can go either Hallowed Ground for, you know, Consecration, which again, I wouldn't go, but Speed and Avoidance, we are so freaking slow. I would do Obduracy, whatever it is, okay? Then we're gonna go Sanctified Wrath. Sanctified Wrath it's just better than Seraphim. I mean, Seraphim is essentially, even though it's a 45-second cooldown, it is essentially a 1-minute cooldown because we have nothing that lines up with 45 seconds really. And I mean, Sanctified Wrath, each Holy Power spent causing you to explode with Holy Light for 2,669 damage to nearby enemies. It's great. It's just extra damage in your wings, and it's awesome. I would go Seal of Might. We love Mastery. Mastery means more damage. Seal of the Crusader, your attacks have a chance to cause your target to take 5% increased holy damage, or 10% for 5 seconds. We love it. Zealot's Paragon, Hammer of Wrath and Judgment deal 10% additional damage and extend the duration of Avenging Wrath for a second. Again, awesome. Judgment is a huge spell for us. Judgment they're hitting harder, and Hammer of Wrath is also hitting hard, and it's extending your wings. It's just great. Then you have 1 point left over to kind of put wherever you want. You can go Hallowed Ground because the few times that you do cast Consecration, that way you just maximize damage. Again, if you're the only paladin in your group, you could probably go Auras. If you're not the only paladin but you still need a CC, you can still pick this. You can still pick up Repentance or Blinding Light. Judgment of Light is a good one if your healers need some help. Again, After Image I wouldn't really take. Aspirations of Divinity though, I really hope they increase the 1% primary stat. I hope it goes up, but I mean, if you just want a flat small little damage boost, I mean, Aspirations is probably where I would go, just because I would rather have more haste or more strength than my Consecration do 10% more damage. Also, it gives Crusader Strike something to do because it hits like a wet noodle. All right, let's move on over to the Ret tree. So obviously Blade of Justice, we're going to take Blade of Justice. Art of War, we absolutely love it. Because I already know we're going to have to take it, we're going to take Divine Storm. Blade of Condemnation, I don't think this is going to be good because 5% crit, while it's nice, it's only on your Blade of Justice. Unless you're running a good amount of crit, it's not going to, I don't think it's going to be super valuable. Like, I mean, obviously Holy Blade is very valuable, 1 extra holy power. Blade of Wrath is really good. Art of War resets the cooldown of Blade of Justice 100% more often and increases its damage. We love that. I'm going to be running Divine Protection. Shield of Vengeance is cool, and it does damage. I would rather just have flat 20% because after that pops, you're dead. But at least this will stay for, you know, a whole 8 seconds, and just, you know, it's just less damage. I love Holy Crusader. We love Mastery. We'll take 2% Mastery. Improved Crusader Strike is a trap. Crusader Strike is by far our lowest hitting ability. Hit Crusader Strike as little as possible. Unless everything else is on cooldown or you really need the holy power and there's nothing else, then hit Crusader Strike. But I'm trying to hit Crusader Strike as little as possible. And now that I say that, I probably would actually just go over here. Anyways, improved judgment reduces the cooldown of judgment. We love judgment. Zeal empowers you with holy zeal, causing your next 3 auto attacks to occur 30% faster and deal additional damage. This is really good. 1, because it opens up a High Lord's Judgment, but 2, remember, Art of War procs off your auto attacks. So more auto attacks means more Art of War procs, which means more blades, and eventually will be more Wake of Ashes. Judgment doing more damage. We absolutely love that. Righteous Verdict is a weird one. I would categorize this as a, if you have the extra point, put it here, but I'm gonna skip it for now to see if I can find something better later on. Sanctifies enemies hit by a Divine Storm take 100% more damage to your consecration for 8 seconds. We don't need to worry about that. If you're in a council fight or a Clee fight, maybe, but I think when we see some further tuning of some other things, Divine Storm may or may not be the play on a few things. Wake of Ashes is hitting incredibly hard right now. It is hitting for 34k, and your Templars, your final verdicts are hitting for 22. It is insane right now. They're hitting so hard. Wake of Ashes, we love it. Consecrated Blade, Art of War procs. Art of War causes Blade of Justice to cast Consecration at target's location. This could be good for some extra passive damage, but it's kind of like the Righteous Verdict. I'm gonna leave it. If I need to squeak out a little extra damage in a build or something like that, I may go there, but only if I have the extra points. Judgment has a 25% chance to throw a second hammer, dealing an additional 2,140 damage. I love it. Some people have a problem with Seal of Wrath. I think if it works if it works as intended, I think it's great, because more judgments, more empowerments. Judgment is already a good, solid hitting ability, so getting 2 of them and extra damage is great. Expurgation, your Blade of Justice critical strikes cause the target to burn for 60% of the damage dealt over 6 seconds. This ties in with Blade of Condemnation. I feel like if you go Expurgation, you have to take Blade of Condemnation, and a little vice versa, but I don't think the 60% damage. Here's the thing. So you're going to take Ashes to Dust. Art of War has a 35% chance to reset the cooldown of Wake of Ashes instead of Blade of Justice. Wake of Ashes just hits harder than Blades of Justice. Even if you got a crit and you got the extra burn, it still doesn't come close to a Wake of Ashes. Maybe if you start taking with Sealed Verdict, but at that point you're putting in so many points into that ability that I think they'd be better spent in other places. For that reason, I probably am not going to go Blade of Condemnation or Expurgation, but we'll see with the tuning stuff. It may change. Imperium Power, again, if you're in a council fight, sure. Fires of Justice, Crusader Strike is worthless. Truth's Weight burns the target, extra damage. I mean, 10% more damage on a very hard hitting ability. I love it. I'm going to skip Avenging Wrath and Crusade. I'm going to come back to that. Here we got a 2-choice node. Sanctification, Consecration, periodic damage has a chance to grant you 1 holy power. Chances increase up to 4 targets within Consecration. Again, probably an M+1. If you go the Consecration build, not really good for raid unless there's a lot of ads all the time. But Inner Grace though, Inner Grace, every 12 seconds of combat, you gain 1 holy power. If you divide that out over a minute of combat and you put that into just final verdicts, I did the math. It's like hundreds of thousands of extra damage. So to me, even though it sounds really boring and really lame, I think Inner Grace actually isn't that bad. I think it's one that you could lose, and if you look at where it leads us, it doesn't really lead us anywhere good. So I feel like you could lose Inner Grace, but I think it's going to be a sleeper. Boundless Judgment. Judgment has a 25% chance to cast to a nearby enemy. Again, council fights would be great. Single target, not so much. Consecrated Ground and Sanctified Ground. So slow enemies in your consecration are slowed by 50%. You cannot be slowed by 80% in Sanctified Ground, and your consecration is bigger, and Sanctified Ground lingers for 2 seconds. If we're in a fight that has a lot of slow, where our Blessing of Freedom isn't enough, or if you need to lose Blessing of Freedom to send something somewhere else, you know, maybe you really do need auras and Blinding Light or something like that. This could be a small pseudo Blessing of Freedom where you can't be slowed but below 80% of your normal movement speed. It's not going to include roots, but it stop you from being super slow. may be worth it. I mean, at this, I try to go more damage here because our utility comes from here. So that's just it's a personal choice at that point. Exorcism throws a huge wrench in playstyle for me personally. It feels really weird to hit a button that isn't spending holy power or isn't generating holy power. I mean, it would be the only button to do that. And the damage is okay, but I think because of the potential, you're losing a GCD in the middle of your burst to do a little bit more damage. It doesn't feel good right now. I think it needs to be buffed. I think it needs to be tuned up. I think if it's tuned up, let me say this. If it gave holy power right now, I think it would be worth it. It would have to do a lot of damage and not give holy power, or it'd have to be doing pretty decent damage and give holy power. For me right now, it's just not worth it to run Exorcism. I mean, you know, we're looking at, you know, 18k damage when our judgments are hitting for 10, 11, sometimes even more than that. I mean, again, Wake of Ashes is tuned up pretty well. I mean, even Blade of Justice is, maybe it's not as much, but at least it's generating 2 holy power for us. That's going to lead into, you know, a final verdict or something like that. I just don't see Exorcism being high value. Hand of Hindrance, it's our slow. It's been there, you know, it's been just chilling quietly. If you need it, take it. Now let's get back to Avenging Wrath, Might, and Crusade. In my own personal testing with where these are right now, Avenging Wrath Might gives you 20% crit and it keeps Avenging Wrath at a 2-minute cooldown. Crusade increases your haste by 3% for 25 seconds. Each holy power spent during Crusade increases haste by additional 3%, maximum 10 stacks. So you're getting 30, so you're essentially getting hero. It's 30, right? 30% haste. And it says if Avenging Wrath is known, also grants 3% damage per stack. So your damage is going up and your haste is going up. Obviously, it's very powerful. Bad thing is it's on a 3-minute cooldown. Some people are saying this is a bug, that it's supposed to be a 2-minute cooldown. If that's true, Crusade all day, baby. Right now, with what I've been testing, Crusade is about 100k more damage than Avenging Wrath Might. However, Avenging Wrath Might is a 2-minute cooldown. So unless you're in a fight that's 4 minutes long, Avenging Wrath will eventually just beat out Crusade in all the other scenarios that I have tested, at least. So for that reason, right now, currently, I'm taking Avenging Wrath Might. If Crusade goes down to a 2-minute, all day Crusade, guys. Yeah, that would be an easy one. All right, we need 3 more that we need to pick up. For here, I like to go Helping Hands because I like to heal other people with my Word of Glories. If you want to be a selfish, hence the selfish healer, you can take Selfless Heal. I go Helping Hands. So here now we have some extra points. Remember we talked about some potential areas to put points in. So here I would actually probably go. Now, if you want to, you can go here. I personally am going to go here and here. Consecrated Blade and Righteous Verdict. Extra damage. It's passive. Again, because we're casting more Wakes of Ashes than we are potential, you know, Blades of Wrath, I would rather go into these other ones. All right, so when we get here, Ashes to Ashes, this is our Shadowlands tier set. When you benefit from Art of War, you gain Seraphim 4 seconds. Awesome, because Seraphim gives us haste, crit, verse, and mastery. So yeah, getting that every once in a while is great. Templar's Verdict has a 30% chance to strike again. Templar's Vindication, awesome. We're talking about raid, so we're gonna take Final Verdict. Final Verdict gives us a 10-yard range on our Templar's Verdict, and it does more damage, and it has a 15% chance to reset the cooldown of Hammer of Wrath, and it makes it usable on any target. Next place we're going to go is Virtuous Command. Judgment grants your Virtuous Command a 5 seconds, which causes your Templar's Verdict, Crusader Strike, Blade of Justice, auto attacks to deal 10% additional holy damage. Yeah, more damage just for, again, more value. And Judgment just gives us a lot of buffs and a lot of nice things. So yeah, we take that. Final Reckoning is amazing. Let me stop and talk about Final Reckoning and how much I love Final Reckoning. Call down a blast of heavenly energy, dealing 24k damage to all targets in the target area and causing them to take 50% increased damage from your holy power abilities for 8 seconds. 50% more damage from your holy power abilities for 8 seconds is amazing. While off cooldown, Your attacks have a high chance to call down a bolt that deals almost 5k damage and causes the target to take 10% increased damage from your next holy power ability. I mean, it's good when it's on cooldown. It's good when it's off cooldown. It's amazing. I love Final Reckoning. Imperium Legacy, Judgment empowers your next Final Verdict to automatically activate Divine Storm with 25% increased effectiveness. Only occurs once every 30 seconds. A council fight, maybe a cleave fight. The 30-second thing really kind of doesn't do it for me. I think in order for this to really for this to be a really good talent, I think it would have to be down to like every 15-20 seconds maybe. Judgment I think is on a 10-second cooldown, so every third judgment we get one of these. Every other judgment would be great though. I think that would be solid damage. And Divine Toll. Divine Toll, I know a lot of people were upset that we didn't get Ringing Clarity back. Divine Toll hits like a truck. It hits like a Final Verdict right now. I mean, our judgment right now, 11k damage, and Divine Toll does double that. That's 22. Divine Toll is essentially a holy power generating AoE Final Verdict. I love it. Take Divine Toll. It's great. You can go Divine Resonance. You can go here. If you want Exorcism, you can take it. If you need a slow, that's a trap. You can go Extra Crit anywhere else. These talents are completely useless. Don't ever take any of these. But I do want to talk about Vanguard's Momentum. Hammer of Wrath has 1 extra charge and increases holy damage done by 2% for 10 seconds, stacking 3 times. In my testing with Vanguard's Momentum, the extra charge of Hammer of Wrath actually kind of messes it up for me because we have so many things proccing. We have Divine Purpose. We have Art of War. Now you're throwing in a Hammer of Wrath on top of, trying to make sure that we're hitting our Blades of Wraths, our Judgments. Judgment is important to hit to empower the next one. To me, it felt like I was just spamming Hammer of Wrath and not really having a lot of time to spend time building other things. So to me, for that reason, I won't be taking Vanguard's Momentum, and in my limited testing that I've had with it, it wasn't a huge DPS increase either way. I actually did more damage without it than I did with it, and I think part of that might be too that it was kind of messing up my flow of my rotation and stuff like that. You kind of know when things are going to happen. Obviously, you don't know when things are going to proc, but it's just another thing you have to balance and worry about. And I think I think it threw me off quite a bit, which is why I'm going to end up going Divine Resonance because, again, extra judgments. It's a lot. It's a good amount of damage. I like it. I think it's great. So we'll take these. I want to talk real quick about these 3 things right here. What makes this side of the tree feel completely weird, it's the fact that we have to go from Consecrated Ground or Hand of Hindrance to get to Relentless Inquisitor. You have to go through these 2 things to get here, and it doesn't really make sense. I think it would make more sense if Exorcism just went straight down maybe, but it doesn't make sense to me to go here and then you get haste for spending holy power. Well, we love haste. Spending holy power grants you 1% per finisher, stacking 3 times, and it goes up twice. So is it? Yeah, up to 5 times. It doesn't feel really good to have to go through here. I mean, really, you don't really go through hand. You're going to go through here, which means you have to go through here or here. All right, now let's talk about Execution Sentence. Execution Sentence just really underperforms right now. A hammer slowly falling from the sky upon the target. After 8 seconds, they suffer 27k holy damage plus 20% of damage taken from your abilities in that time. Now, it's just a not as good Final Reckoning. Now, I know Final Reckoning reads as increases the damage from your holy power abilities for 8 seconds, so this is just all your abilities, but it's still just, in my testing, even running Final Reckoning and Executioner Sentence, I do more damage with Divine Toll and Final Reckoning and Final Verdict, and I do more damage like this than I do the other way. Even if you took Executioner's Will, again, what are you giving up to get here? Because you're going to have to, you can't give up. You can't give up Final Verdict. It just does too much damage. It gives you extra things passively outside of bursts that you don't want to give up. Judgment, gives, I mean, this virtuous command just gives you more damage. Divine Toll again is hitting as hard as Final Verdict right now for me. I don't want to lose Ashes to Ashes, even if I would I mean, the things that you would have to give up to get Executioner's Sentence and, you know, Executioner's Will to make it even slightly viable is just way too much for me, and I still just don't think it's a very good talent. You know, maybe they up the 20% part, maybe, you know, maybe something Executioner's Will, but to me, this whole section right here, this whole little Y section right here is just, it's just not really viable right now to spend the points here when you could be getting so much more, and things that's, I feel all this synergizes really well with itself versus going for something like this. I know a lot of people really like Executioner's Sentence because they like to see the big hammer and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I really just think it's a damage thing. It just doesn't do as much damage. At least in my testing, maybe I play it wrong. It doesn't matter if you're in Avenging Wrath or Crusade. Maybe that's where you take Holy Avenger. I'm not too sure, but for me, it's just absolutely not worth it to spend any points over here right now. I am focusing solely over here for raid specifically. So that's the build, guys. Let me know what you think. Let me know what changes you'd make from a raid standpoint. You know, again, like I said, if it's a council fight, if it's, you know, it has a bunch of ads coming in, ad section, stuff like that, there's a few things I would change, but by and large, I think this is going to be a really good raid build, especially for single target. If you're on a sludge fist, or if you're on like a sludge fist fight where it's just pure single target damage, I think this is the build you're going to want to go. All right, let's move on over to M+ build. Let's see, I'll just do that. Nothing for me really changes over here. The only changes I would probably make is I would want Blinding Light. I would take Hollowed Ground. I probably wouldn't take Sack, and I would probably take Cleanse Toxins. I would still go here. I would still go here. Obviously that. Still go here. 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 That's what I would change. I would lose my 2 points of Sack and put it into Repentance, Cleanse Toxins. I'm sure Blinding Light is gonna, or Spell Warding will come in handy. I don't think anything here is really going to be for us in M+. I know a lot of people like Dusk and Dawn, but the things you have to give up to get there just are not worth. One other thing you could give up is Seasoned Warhorse. So you could get rid of, like, say, Cleanse Toxins, and you really need to have Sack for whatever. You can lose the 1 second. Again, it doesn't even matter, man. It feels bad to put it there anyways. Again, maybe you need Auras of the Resolute for your comp. But yeah, again, I think it would be Sack for that. I mean, losing any of your Sack and your Seasoned Warhorse, those would be the first places I would take things away in order to get them elsewhere. Maybe Bop and Spell Warding if you really, I don't know what situation you would need Sacrifice more than Bop, but I mean, you could swap those two. A little bit of utility for getting a Cleanse and a Blinding Light and stuff like that in M+, I think is really big. All right, let's jump on over to the Ret tree. So obviously Blade of Justice, we want Art of War, Divine Storm is amazing. We want to reduce the cooldown of Judgment. Yep, we would like Mastery. Blade of Justice is good. We want Holy Aegis. Nothing really changes here. Judgment damage, Wake of Ashes, Consecration Blade goes up in value here. Wrath, we like it. Judgment has a 24%. Seal of Wrath is probably okay. That's probably one where we can, change or whatever. We like Avenging Wrath. We like Truce Wake. So here's one thing I want to talk about. We haven't talked about Radiant Decree. Right now, if you look at Radiant Decree, it deals 27k damage. That is more damage than a Final Verdict, but it's less damage than a Wake of Ashes. I'm assuming Wake of Ashes is either going to get nerfed or they're gonna raise Radiant's Decree to be as good or even better. Here's the thing, Radiant's Decree costs 3 holy power, right? At first glance, you're probably gonna think, well, I'm already using Divine Storm. Why would I use Radiant's Decree? Radiant's Decree hits way harder than Divine Storm. Divine Storm does 16,000 damage. Radiant's Decree does 27. I think Radiant's Decree will be the new, if tuned correctly, will be the new AoE spender. What it'll look like is you end up taking Radiance Decree, and then you take Tempest of the Lightbringer, and you'll take Imperium Power. However, you're only going to use Divine Storm on the procs. You're always going to be using Radiance Decree. I think that might be what the new play will be, and just worrying about buffing, worrying about getting more Imperium Power and just using it on the procs. I think that is going to be the new way to do M+. I don't know. We'll see what happens with tuning. For right now, Ashes to Dust for me is the way to go. Judgment has 25% chance to chain to a nearby enemy. We like that. We take that. Again, Healing Hands, Selfless Healer. Either way, you're going to take Imperium Power. You're going to take Tempest of the Lightbringer. Ashes to Ashes. We're going to want Ashes to Ashes. Divine Toll is amazing in M+. It's great. Virtuous Command again, great talent. Final Reckoning in M+, huge damage, huge damage. Now, the one thing is Templar's Verdict. Here's where things change. Basically, everything here in M+ to me is, I don't want to say useless, but it's essentially useless. We don't need anything here. Now that we have extra points, now we're looking to other areas. Remember how I said Crusader Strike is useless? Well, Crusader Strike has a 15% chance to make your next Divine Storm free and deal 25% damage. Now, all of a sudden, having 2 charges is a little good. I think we take Improved Crusader Strike for M+, purely to proc Imperium Power. That is the only reason I could see us, that's the only reason I would say take Improved Crusader Strike, is for more potential Imperium Power procs. I wouldn't take Righteous Verdict. Maybe on a Tyrannical week or something like that, maybe you'll take Righteous Verdict, or here if there's like a really hard boss, but by and large you're just worried about AoE. So what I would do is on non-sanguine weeks, I would take Consecrated Ground, slow everybody. If your tank wants to kite, give them a little help. If it's Spiteful week, throw it on the ground, get the Spitefuls nice and slow. Other than that, I would take Sanctified Ground, but Consecrated Ground to me is generally where people are going to want to go. You can take the slow. Hand of Hindrance is also nice if you need to slow down some people. Consecration Periodic Damage has a chance to grant you 1 Holy Power, increases up to 4 targets within. It's good. More Holy Power is great, but Sanctify, enemies hit by Divine Storm take 100% more damage from Consecration for 8 seconds. I think Sanctify is actually going to be the play here. Now, what you could do is you could say, no, I don't need bigger consecrations. I just want more Holy Power. Boom, right there, more Holy Power generation. Or if you'd rather go utility, you can go here. I feel these are kind of interchangeable, just depending on your playstyle and what you want. But I do think enemies hit by Divine Storm take 100% more damage from your consecration, because again, we're getting 10% increased. We're getting more consecrations. It makes consecration feel a little better. And in bigger packs, anyways, you're gonna want to hit consecration anyways, just for that extra little bit of damage. So that's it, guys. That's my rundown of where Red's at currently, my thoughts. I'm really looking forward to see some tuning. I really want to know if Radiance Decree is going to be a thing, how they're going to handle Wake of Ashes. Like, hopefully they do something about Crusader Strike hitting like a noodle. But let me know, what do you guys think? Is there something you would change in the talent tree? Is there something I'm missing? Anything like that? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to have some more conversations, I'm going to leave the link to my Twitter and my Discord server down below, and we can chat some more. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'll catch you in the next one. But please remember to do it in a respectful manner. You catch more flies with honey than you do salt. Is that what the saying is? Catch more flies, honey than vinegar. Okay.